The inspiration they received was for that person, not necessarily for everybody else. What I'm here to challenge you with is a healing technique and a clearing technique that's going to help you with prosperity, abundance, relationships, and everything else. Because all the problems that you experience are not coming from the divine, are not coming from inspiration. It's coming from the programming. It's coming from all the thoughts that are in your head, many of which you didn't even know were there. And the previous conversation we had, the dialogue we had earlier with the other presenter about the mass of the unconscious being 11 miles wide, that is absolutely correct. But what we have in our conscious mind is this one itty-bitsy percentage, and we think it's the frickin' world. And we are deceived by it. We are sold by it, we buy into that, and what we need to do is erase it. And as we start erasing this, the whiteboard starts to appear again. And as the whiteboard appears, you are now becoming one with the divine. You are now becoming the divine. You are now living and breathing as the divine. Now, I've said this before, and I have an audio program called The Awakening Course. I've just turned it into a book. It'll be out a little bit later. And I talk about the 4 different stages of awakening. And I say the 4th is when you truly awaken and the ego you, the Joe, isn't there, the divine is living and breathing through me. And I'll say that to a lot of people, and they'll go, yeah, I'm there. Give me a break. If you are sitting there saying, I am awakened, you are most certainly not awakened. You have bought into another program. So what we want to do is erase. I'm not saying from time to time the inspiration will come through and say, go ahead and do one of these things, but it'll be authentic to that moment. It won't be the thing that you say, we pull this out and we do this for everything and everybody in every moment for eternity. No more. How many of you read the book Zero Limits that I wrote with Dr. Huland? It's in your bag, so eventually you'll get a chance to read it, I hope. It is the most breathtaking story. This is on the level of the miraculous. And when I tell this to people, their jaws drop, they're inspired, some of them are nervous, because there's some elements to it that really make you have to own your own reality on a level that you may never have owned before. And it's a true story that I heard several years ago of a therapist who worked at a mental hospital for the criminally insane in Hawaii, using an unusual, mystical, secret Hawaiian healing method, helped heal every one of those patients. Pause. Mentally ill, convicted criminals in a mental institution, a mental hospital in Hawaii. They were so dangerous that people would visit, and they'd walk scooting down the halls because those patients were violent. They were either sedated or shackled virtually every day. The turnover, the nurses would quit on a regular basis. They couldn't keep doctors, they couldn't keep therapists. Until one day, this therapist got the job opportunity, and he said, I'll go there, I'll work there, but I have to do my own method. I'm not actually going to do therapy with the patients. Let me see their files, I'll see them over lunch, but I'm not going to see them one-on-one. I'm not going to do traditional therapy with them. They agreed because they were desperate. They were absolutely desperate. So he goes there. He starts doing his little stuff. They think he's a strange bunny, but they let him go about his way. Within a few months, those patients that were shackled and sedated were being unshackled and not needing sedation. A few months after that, they started to be released. They were pronounced as healed. They were freed. Within a year or two, most of the ward was released. Within 4 years, they were all released and the ward was closed. Now, when I first heard that story, and I get chills right now every time I talk about this, it's like, how is this possible? I know about health and healing. I know about miracles. I've done all kind of work. I've done remote healing. I've been with shamans. I've done all kind of stuff. But to heal mentally ill criminals in a mental institution in a hospital in Hawaii, and you not talk to them, you don't even see them physically, you don't do therapy with them one-on-one, how does that happen? I went looking for that therapist, because at that point he was unknown, the therapy was unknown, and the story was more like an urban legend, which I thought it was. I found him, got him on the phone. He didn't know me, didn't know my work, but he was very generous. He answered all my questions. He said that whole story was true. I said, well, how did you do it? What were you doing? He said, my only purpose on earth is to clean. All I did was clean. What does that mean? Did you get the Windex out? Were you just cleaning their rooms? What were you doing? And he says, everything that comes up in your life is a program. And what I do is erase the program. Whenever a program showed up in his life, he would erase it. What does that mean? He went on to explain that he wouldn't see those patients. He'd look at their files. As he's looking at their files, he's looking at their paperwork, he'd feel things. Repulsed, angry, scared, frustrated. He knew that traditional therapy was not working because it had already been tried on these people. He had been brought up in a mystical tradition and learned it from a Huna and was using this to get different results. So whenever he looked at a person's chart, he noted what he felt. As he cleaned what he felt, the other person got better. This is so freaking relevant to everything all of us do. All of us do. So I went on and had my first seminar with him where I went and met him. Very grandfatherly-like fellow now. He's almost 70. And he really just says the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. It's basically, you just have to keep cleaning. Now, his cleaning method, which would end up being written on this board too, in fact it was, Ho'oponopono, is right up there. So we'll take that off as I explain what it is. So Ho'oponopono is a way to take 100% responsibility for your life. What do we mean by that? 100% responsibility means if anything, anybody, shows up in your experience, you are responsible for it. No exceptions, no loopholes, no get out of jail card. And the way this was first explained to me is that Dr. Hulen said, haven't you ever heard the phrase, you create your own reality? Well, hell yes, I've heard it. I'm one of the people who write about it, and teach it. Well, if you create your own reality and a mentally ill criminal shows up in your reality, didn't you help create that reality, that person, that experience? Whoa. That's taking this to a quantum leap level of responsibility I didn't want to go to. And as I've learned, because I've now been promoting the book, and he and I have done several seminars together, most people don't want to go to. But he said it's all about taking 100% responsibility, whatever shows up in his life. He says that some program in him helped pull it into his reality. Now, what do we mean by some program? Those are the thoughts, those are the beliefs. That's that unconscious programming, but it goes deeper and further than what you might have ever thought before. Because Dr. Hulen is talking about you've inherited the programming from your ancestors. He says it goes all the way back to amoeba, that all of those generations and centuries of beliefs, of crimes, of unforgiveness, everything is there. It's in your unconscious. You have it. You have it. There's a famous bodybuilder, Dave Draper, who was the blonde bomber in the 50s movies. He's still around, still in shape, doing great, but he had a heart attack. When he had a heart attack, he told his doctors, how can I have a heart attack? I've been fit my entire life. I am fit now. How can I have a heart attack? Why will I need surgery? Why have I had this happen to me? What did I do wrong? And the doctor said, you didn't do a thing. Your grandparents did. And through the new study of epigenetics, they know that that was inherited into his system. He experienced the programming from them. So this programming is far deeper and more expansive and more powerful than what you think just came in with you when you were born. It isn't from just the birth on when they say those are your formative years. They're definitely your formative years. But you were formed before that. And we have to keep cleaning.
feel your presence near. I feel the love and have no fear. My heart is open and my mind awake. I feel the power of the divine shake. All I want or need is clear.